The LG Procast, the podcast, is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views or opinions expressed by the podcast hosts and guests do not necessarily reflect the official position of LG. For the latest and most accurate information about LG products, please consult relevant product manuals and related documentation. The information provided in this podcast episode is for informational purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, we make no representation or warranties of any kind, express or implied, about the completeness, accuracy, reliability, or suitability of the information for any specific application in the following discussion. LG and those posting or otherwise providing information, content, or material are not responsible or liable for any consequences relating directly or indirectly to any action or inaction you take based on the information, content, or other material on the podcast.
Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to the LG Procast. We are here at the 2025 LG Service Champions Conference with a bunch of our service champions from around the country. Thought it'd be fun to get a couple of our guys from the LG tech support team up here with us and pick their brains. And we've got a few questions from you guys that have submitted. And then once we're done with those couple of questions, we're going to have a microphone that'll come around. So have your questions ready. If you don't have one,
make one up.
One for you.
Yeah.
And we will make you ask it. So, Terry, why don't you introduce these guys here and then we'll kick off with what we got.
I will. Let me start by saying, so we tried this format a couple of weeks ago. We had a distributor meeting, or I should say an LG Pro dealer meeting down in Orlando. And that's the first time we tested this format, and it worked out pretty well. People were a little cold to start, right? That's normal human nature. But then once the questions started going, they started warming up and we started getting a lot of interaction. So we expect the kind of same participation for you guys. You came a long way. Many of you travel long distances. You're donating a whole week's worth of time here this week to do this. So this is your opportunity to talk about things in your service world or things in the LG service world that you want other people to know, or that you think other people could, benefit from. We certainly want to take your questions and do our best to answer them. Up on the stage today, I'll actually let Eric introduce his team other than me. We'll start with Mr. Eric Dickerson down here. Eric.
My name's Eric Dickerson. I'm in charge of the Texas call center. And to my right is Rene, and to the right of him is Phil.
Super. I'm sure you guys interact with these guys on a regular basis. So.
We had Rene and Phil on a couple of weeks ago on an
did.
episode.
We did.
They did good enough. We let them come back.
Yep. All right. So let's get started. We got a couple of questions. Like I said, it came through the QR code.
A couple of them. One question and then two people that submitted their name and their company and their title and didn't bother asking a question. So we'll call them out and make them ask their question.
Absolutely.
We're going to start with Mr. Dave Lemieux from ACR Supply. On new R-32 equipment, are the refrigerant sensors a one-time use, or can they be reset in the field? And I'm assuming he means if it detects a leak, do you have to replace it?
So my understanding is that depending on the level of refrigerant detected, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's like if you have 50,000 parts per million, that's a low detection that is resettable. But at 100,000 parts per million, it is not resettable.
That makes good sense.
Can we? So I have some follow-up questions on that. Maybe guys do as well. Would there be other substances or applications where we applied this product that could trip a leak sensor?
Yes, car exhaust fumes, beauty products, hairspray, things like that will set off the R-32 detection device.
Interesting. So I was in your class yesterday, Phil, you said something very, what I thought was pretty profound. And that is, if you're going to install a product in those applications to use what we would call our 4-wire system, right?
Correct.
Which means it doesn't have leak detection because the refrigerant charge is not sufficient to require that. And I think that's valuable information that service champions and distributors and people could pass along.
Right. Yeah, the 4-wire is less than 4 pounds of freon, so it does not require the leak detection system.
That's good stuff.
Good.
Any other questions from the group around leak detection or leak sensing? No?
Russell will bring you
Oh,
up.
we got a question. Hang tight.
Here's got one here, and there we go. One in the middle, Josh.
Super.
Right.
She said it. She said it with a mic.
Well, yeah, you dude.
Yeah, because we're recording it.
So there's been some talk the last day or so about you could temporarily shut off the leak detection on CV units. Is that through the entire line so you can get back and repair it? If the thing trips and locks you out and it's not resettable, can you temporarily disable it?
In order to disable the leak detection system, you actually have to have a working sensor in place to disable it. So since you got a working sensor in there, in order to disable it, you just leave the working sensor in place. I tested this at the lab, and it will not disable while in alarm. And in order to get to the disable function, you do have to have a working sensor in place.
Thank you.
Interesting.
Good morning, guys. Thank you for being with us this morning. Quick question on the sensors. Are they the same for all equipment? Say part number.
I have not verified that. They all look the same, but I have not verified the part number.
Okay. That's a question we get from the field all the time. And I also uncovered in the A coil documentation that appears to be a very unique sensor. So that's the nature of my question. That would be really helpful information for the front line if we can get to the bottom of that.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you.
We can find out for sure.
Any more questions relative to leak sensing and detection? One more.
Leak sensor. Hang on 1 second, Brian. I'll record you. It'll record your question real quick.
On the leak sensor, is there any plan to make that like a resettable thing? Is there anything being looked at to have a resettable type sensor in there?
I haven't heard anything on that one, Brian, but I can only imagine. Obviously, this is the first part of 32 in the U.S., so I'm sure we're looking at inventory and just the process of parts and the warranty status. And I would be under the presumption that if there is a need for it and the factory sees a lot of usage of that part, then there would probably be some investment in to figure out and create a resettable one. But currently, right now, no. We'll keep an eye on it.
That's a valid question though, because when I first saw or heard of the sensors, well, that was my first question: are they resettable or reusable? Whatever you want to call it, and certainly it makes economic sense. I get it, but having someone just hey, it's kind of like how do you change the water filter on your refrigerator, right? You just hold the clear button long enough till it says, and you tell your wife you changed it, right? So, and then 6 months later, you do it again. And I don't think I've ever changed the filter of my refrigerator, but the light's off.
So I did ask that question to some of our product team, and the answer that I was told at the time was it was kind of one of those, we want to err on the side of caution, because when the detectors sense so much at a certain level, the concern is how accurate is it going to be the second time. We'd rather be cautious and replace it with a new one. With some testing and hopefully down the road, it would obviously be nice to have a resettable one, but we'd rather err on the side of caution than have a
Liken it to the very expensive and sensitive leak detection devices that you own with, things that you've got to do to calibrate it on a regular basis, right? So just something to think about along that lines as well. All right, super. Yes, ma'am. Question back here. Yes, sir.
So I'm representing Marcone, Dustin, and basically Miami and South Florida, out in the swamp. And our biggest thing is dehumidification. And we have such a cool product right now with the CV line. It's the bomb. I love that thing. It's so cool. But I'm running into some snags on dehumidification, and it's like a unitary fighter. Like, that's kind of like what it is. And so I'm battling all these, standard brands that we've come to know all our lives. And And they have on their, variable capacity systems, they have a humid climate mode, or they name it something else. And it allows us to have a cold coil, for basically the whole runtime. And so our product is warming up the evaporator coil, and which is not great for the swamp. And I'm just curious, is there anybody looking into something so we can compete with that market? Because I really need something that keeps my evaporator cold, even when it ramps down. Uh, I know on our, VRF product, we can, drop the evaporator temperature down. If there's somebody looking into some software modification that can be done so we can have a setting that allows us to put it into humid climate mode, because that would be so awesome.
Basically, he's in Miami. Obviously, very humid climate. What are we doing to help with climates that are very, very humid? What are we doing to get a colder coil to be able to do better dehumidification? A lot of the unitary brands have, dehumidification mode, quote unquote. Typically, it'll ramp up your compressor a little more and slow your airspeed down. What can we do settings wise, or is there any kind of development that's going to give us some more capability for those climates?
So right now, our residential model dehumidification is a timed sequence. And so at 70 degrees room temperature, the compressor runs 0 minutes out of 10. At 72, it runs 2 minutes out of 10. 74, 4 minutes out of 10, and on up to 80 degrees where it runs 10 out of 10. So it's not a true dehumidification sequence. It's a timed sequence. As far as in the future, I don't know about the future, but that's what our current dehumidification setup is. And it's better just run it in cool mode.
So you're speaking of the dry mode setting.
Yes.
So in cool mode, if we're in a climate that needs more latent power, what can we do settings wise in the controller to reduce fan speed, or is there anything that they can do in the setup to basically to set it up for that climate where it's going to have a little bit
So,
better dehumidification?
Let me, because I live down there too, right? Born and raised. So, um, first thing I would say is size it correctly,
Mhm.
right? And I'm from that state too, and I live on the Gulf of Mexico. The relative humidity in my house is 50% managed by a single A coil and ductwork. Okay, it can be done, all right, but it has to be sized correctly. And then the next thing, I had a conversation with one of the guys in here this week. Um, you've got to thermal off in the cooling mode. All right, continuing to run that fan across that A coil will reintroduce humidity in the space. So you got to do those kind of things. Um, outside of that, uh, size it correctly. Let it run. Right. You and I both know the longer it runs. My neighbors all the time like, dude, your air conditioner, I can't hear it run, but I can see the fan going. It's like it's always going. I go, that's right. All right. It's always turning. Show of hands, just real quick. Who who thinks that indoor units have variable speed fans in this technology? That's awesome.
Hopefully
Okay.
nobody listening.
Hopefully nobody. Right. Because that's such a misunderstood, God bless, that's such a misunderstood deal. None of this technology has a variable speed indoor fan motor, okay? It's fixed speed, low, medium, and high, all right? That's it. So if you want to, old HVAC technology, if I slow the fan speed down and I got a colder coil, right, then I'm gonna dehumidify better. So those are the kind of things that we can manage, okay?
And we do have fan speed adjustments in the controller where they can drop 10%, add 10%.
Right.
So certainly in your climate, you'd want to drop 10% out of it.
Who understands the auto setting on the controller? Because that will change the fan speed from low, medium to high based off the differential in set point. All right. If you think it's auto changeover, which was the original, people thought, oh, auto means I'll put it over and it'll go switch from heat to cool. That's not what it does. It will change the fan speed. All right. So based off set point. Good question though. Great question. Thank you.
Who else has a question for us? Any topic? You've already asked one.
God bless Dave.
No, go ahead.
Good morning.
Hi, Dave.
Um,
On the multi-position air handler, the dip switch settings, dip switch 7, I think it is, or 8. No, dip switch 8 says tropical mode. What is that tropical mode? Is it adding humidity or removing humidity?
Great question. I don't know. Say, do what, Renee?
Dip switch 8 is for the leak detector.
Freon leak detection.
On
So it's not switch 8. They said that's for leak detection.
So switch 7, it's one of the switches. It says tropical mode.
Probably 7, but we've never heard of that.
I'm sure you're probably seeing the factory manual. So there's probably some things like, I'm referencing some old 410A stuff, right? Like there used to be settings for mosquito something or, tropical setting. I'll take a look into it and try and do some more research, but from prior product lines, a lot of that stuff was printed in the manual, but if you read down the fine print, a lot of it's printed and it's reproduced and it's, passed on in like the South American market as far as Mexico and Brazil and, further down south in a little bit more of a tropical environment.
Yeah, just keep in mind, we make this equipment all over the world. And so how it's used or how that circuit board is used in America may not be the same as it's used in Brazil or Europe or
It's kind of like
that.
the plasma filters. Like
Right.
we don't do the plasma filters in the US, but a lot of the other marketplaces tend to use that plasma filter.
Yeah, I actually had RGF tell me that the plasma function that we had on our old systems was the best in the market and that we were one little device away from making it exactly like their product.
Yeah.
And it was sad to see that it went away, right? So, I personally so I've been here a long time, obviously. We won a World Health Organization award for that mosquito fighting indoor unit, right? That's just good news stuff for when you talk to people. I mean, we've fought malaria in countries where that's an issue by using a sound function of that indoor unit to repel mosquitoes in a space. And that's pretty cool stuff. All right, who's got another question?
Software updates. Could we add required software updates to GSFS into the technical service letters so that when people outside the tech team are looking up parts, they could clue us in if the software update's going to be required?
There's more programs than just GSFS. There's a GSCS program that runs in conjunction with that. And all of that is managed outside of our purview back in HQ. I'm not saying that it's undoable. I think our workaround here in the US is the Service Champion Forum, which I hope all of you are a part of. Maybe we look into different ways to meet that need, whether it's through the partner portal or something to that effect, right? Because at least you're in there to order parts or set up a case or something along those lines. So, I would definitely say I'd be open to the idea, and we're always open to make changes that make your life better, our life better, the customer's life better. So, yeah, we'd definitely be open to something like that. But in the meantime, just stay up to date on the Champion Forum, and that's where we tend to post all of our software and certain things.
I think it's cool that some of our equipment can clean its own coil type of thing. And I was wondering if you could refresh my memory on how these things you go about cleaning the coil, like a high wall units and stuff like that. And will we ever get this in our vertical air handlers?
How does the auto clean function work in the high walls? And then is that ever going to be introduced to ducted products?
So the auto clean function is after the unit satisfies in cool mode, the indoor fan continues blowing at a medium speed for an extra 15 minutes to dry the coil and keep anything from growing on the coil.
Likely not what you want in Miami to be turned on because you'll get the rehumidification that we were just talking about. So
We need to find you an answer on tropical solution. Yeah. No, great question.
um,
Yes, sir.
hey, we're Jocelyn.
So going back to the software updates, we've always been told that the field specialist in your area is the person to contact for software updates because they're the ones that know your territory.
Before you get your question, wanted to back up to when we were talking about 32 and things like that. If on a prior podcast, Philip and I had Dr. Charles Allgood. If you'll go to that podcast and go back and listen to that podcast, Dr. Allgood had a ton of information about leak sensing and detection and 32 versus 454 and all that stuff. I think it's very valuable information. It's one of my favorite podcasts that we did. He was a wealth of knowledge and just was really open about this whole transition with refrigerants and stuff. So thank you. All right, I'm sorry.
Good morning. I'm Ernesto with Texas Air Systems out of Houston. So I have my question is about backup mode. We were always told that backup mode is no more than 48 hours. And we were told that it was because you run the compressor a little bit harder and it, puts a lot more strain on it and it damages it. But yesterday I found out that it was for oil return. I'm wondering if maybe you can go into more in depth of the oil return process when it's in backup mode and why it, I guess why it fails or why would it damage the second compressor?
Yeah, so in backup mode, that compressor that's not running, that's where all the oil ends up. It basically is like a tank, and it just collects all the oil. So what happens, the compressor that is still running basically runs out of oil. So that's now if
Know what about?
yeah, if you had a separate condenser that you can just totally valve it off, probably wouldn't cause that issue because it's not going through that one. But yeah, if you have two compressors, you've valved one or you've backed one up, all the oil is going to end up in that compressor.
So if you had two times a single compressor, you need to block off on this arrow.
Right. Right.
Yeah, if you had isolation valves or something.
Great question. Thank you.
Now, if you got second condenser still powered on, you just got in backup, close the liquid line 100%, hot gas 3/4 of the way, and leave the suction line open because the pressure transducers have to be able to detect that pressure difference in order to continue operating. But that keeps the oil from building up in that compressor.
Jim Hanshire with AC Systems out of St. Louis.
Did you?
So, Philip, you just answered my question. I was going to ask if you still recommend doing the line closing and so forth when you have multiple chassis.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. And so my question is actually, if you do you have any inclination, or are you going to do anything where we can adjust the EEVs from LGMV?
So through LGMV HCT hardware configuration tool, you can do basically the function settings within the condenser. So you can do the expansion valve adjustment through the condenser. I think that's the ID functions. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but you can adjust those either through the dip switches of the condenser or through the HCT on the LGMV.
Okay, I was more talking about for like troubleshooting. Can I drive any of those valves from LGMV?
Only through vacuum mode.
Okay.
Now, vacuum mode does open the expansion valves, but it does not recalibrate. So if you got an indoor unit that the expansion valve needs to be recalibrated, cycle power 5 times, 2 minutes off, 2 minutes on, that recalibrates the expansion valve. Vacuum mode simply opens it, but it doesn't calibrate it.
Well, listen, we'll probably just try to wrap up here then. Philip, Rene, Eric, thank you for being here. Anything you want to talk to these guys about or have message for them this morning?
No, not really. I mean, it's been a pleasure meeting all of y'all. I mean, obviously, I'm not on the phone as much as I used to, but Phil and Rennie are. I'm glad they made the trip out here, and you guys got to put a name to a face that you talk to regularly on the phone. So, no, we just enjoyed our time. we want to continue learning and growing with the team that's here, and we look forward to the future.
Awesome.
I do have an extra question. Sorry.
Got one. Oh, great.
Sorry. So I wanted to also thank Mitchell for helping out on MVP as well, because
Where's Mitchell?
he's also out there a bunch. And I was just curious, are you planning on bringing any more MVP into the group so that the phone time is less?
Yeah, we built a lot of stuff and we're working on a lot of system changes internally. I won't drag it out and get into all the details, but the goal this year is to expand a little more. We need a little bit more expansion in order to kind of meet our customer needs. And we also need to do a little bit more of a realignment in our phone queue and our phone system. So we have a lot of the stuff prepped and ready. We're just waiting for certain systems and certain dominoes to kind of get aligned before we kind of knock them all down and implement them. So, part of that, I don't know. Some of you have probably heard rumors about it, but eventually we'll get rid of the PIN numbers altogether for pro dealers and service champions. So when that change does come to effect, hopefully it's a little bit more of a seamless process for, our service champions and our platinum and gold pro dealers calling in. But yeah, we're working on it. We're trying to expand and grow a little bit more, and that's one of the areas that we're focused on.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate all you guys.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you. Appreciate the questions. Appreciate our guests being up here. Appreciate you guys being here, taking the time and taking the trip out from LG. We appreciate you guys and all that you do for our shared customers. So appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have found day one to be helpful, challenging, fun. And we got 2 more full days of this coming up. So guys, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. From the LG Pro Keys. Thank you. I'm you.